What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stupid Movies, where we watch stupid movies so you don't have to. My name is DJ, and of course, I'm joined by my co host, Dolores.
What's up?
And today we're going to be talking about a classic, The Truman Show. Now, if you know me and Dolores, our record for actually enjoying classic movies or cult classic movies are pretty low. Most of them we end up not liking,
Very true. Very
which is
true.
probably to the detriment of any audience that we look at.
Hmm.
But this one's another classic starring Jim Carrey. And I would say, while extremely unethical, it is an interesting thought experiment. If you, what, how would a person be if they lived their life in a complete fake environment?
It is interesting, but yeah, but you know what it made me think of is that so this came out in '98, which I gotta say I was surprised at how old it was.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was more recent,
I
not
did
recent,
mention
recent.
the name of the movie, right? Why do I feel like I didn't mention
No, you did.
it? Okay,
You did.
all
It
right.
came out in '98, and I just assumed it came out in like 2012 or 2015 or something.
Oh no, no.
But anyways, which makes it even more relevant that it came out in '98, like right before we get into like the reality TV boom, and
Yeah,
then all the stuff we have. And thinking about it, it made me think of like it sort of predicted like all those like family vloggers, YouTube channels, and TikTok channels that we have now,
yeah,
and how people are really just watching people go through mundane life things, and then also how there are parents out there who exploit their children for
oh,
content.
absolutely.
So it really reminded me of that, and just like I know you said like it's a thought. It's like if you lived in a fake reality, but the thing like there's a lot of people that do.
Wow, I mean, if you put it like that, that is true. That's true. Especially, yeah, like you said, some of these vloggers where it's just their lives, and then behind the camera, they're kind of crap to their kids and whatever.
There's a
Um,
very recent case about that.
yes, yeah, I know. So yeah, very interesting. But if you didn't know, that's what the Truman Show is about. It's about Truman Burbank,
Mhm.
who was selected from an unwanted pregnancy, I guess. So the parents didn't want the baby, and so they took the baby and built an entire town. Which, I mean, that set has to be massive.
Yeah, yeah, like a whole seaside. I guess it's no, it's an island,
Yeah,
an whole island to surround a TV show around one person.
and there's a dome around the island too,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So not because like you have big sets where they're towns, but like putting a dome around it adds an extra layer.
Yeah, just that, and I mean, you simulating nighttime and weather and the ocean. It was just a lot, like a whole community where everyone is actors but Truman.
Yes. Now we got a little bit of a taste of this with the recent show Jury Duty,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody on the jury, well, everyone in the courtroom was an actor except for the one guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think what was that, an Amazon show or
Yes,
Freebie or
it
something like
was.
that?
Yeah, I guess technically it was a freebie show.
Yeah. So I thought about that because I was like, oh, that's kind of the same concept that they
Mm-hmm.
did. Because like this one person thinks this is real.
Mm-hmm.
That is a funny practical joke. The Truman Show is a dystopian nightmare. That's so horrible.
Because he's trapped, and then
Yeah,
every time he mentioned just even the idea of wanting to leave, they go through great lengths like, oh no, you can't do that.
yeah,
I mean, so far to even kill his fake father.
yeah. So they traumatized him as a kid
Yeah.
in order to make him afraid to go over the ocean, so he wouldn't. Because I guess he started saying like, oh, he wanted to be an adventurer or something like
Mhm.
that, and obviously he can't leave the set
Mhm.
because then there's no more show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So this show had to be boring when he was a baby. I just thought about that. Like, what were they watching for the first
Well, I mean, but we don't know
3
what
years?
kind of scenarios that they put together for it.
Okay.
And then, I mean, honestly, isn't some of the stuff like the Kardashians? Why are people watching that? And it's
Yeah,
been on for
true.
20 years,
True.
right?
I don't know. I never watched it. Never was
It
interested. But
doesn't
people
interest
were
me. People
super
watch it.
interested. Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like something that really seemed very mundane for whatever reason. A lot of people watch it, even now. And you figure this show was on 24/7.
Yes.
which
So
is,
anytime you can pick it up, even while he's sleeping, I guess there had to be nothing happening at
I'm
night.
guessing they slept when he slept.
Yeah. Which there are streams like that now. I believe Twitch and YouTube does not allow you to go over 24 hours
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But there are like sleep streams where people just stream themselves sleeping. I don't know how that's taken off, but
Honestly, if you look at some of the most popular items out there, I say to myself, why?
yeah, true.
Like, why is this a thing?
Yeah,
So, I am not one to question why something is popular.
yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
people like what they like.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like I don't know. When watching this movie, you end up feeling really sorry for Truman,
Mm-hmm.
which I have to say I think ended up being a good role for Jim Carrey. Interesting because Jim Carrey has his ways. He likes to act silly and stuff like that, and there's some of that in this movie. But when it's in this movie, it's not like oh I'm tired of seeing Jim Carrey do this type of thing
Mm-hmm.
because it's more of this person is losing their minds because everyone around them is faking it
Mm-hmm.
basically, right? And he knows that he has to get out, but they won't let him. So he's like basically going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, this was his first serious role. And if you know anything about Jim Carrey, is that everything, all his other movies up until this point has been very over the top,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I'm not a super fan of his movies because that kind of comedy does not interest me.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Liar Liar, but even then, that it could be a little much
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I'll say this about Jim Carrey. He is a good actor. Jim Carrey's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
But that he does his comedy is over the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be off-putting to some people. Now, like Ace Ventura, I can't watch. Liar, I can watch. It's like I can watch some Jim Carrey movies. You know, I like him in Batman Forever, um, which we agreed was a bad movie,
We
but
did.
still enjoyable.
Well, yeah, and then was he Bruce Almighty? Was he Bruce
Yes,
Almighty?
he's Bruce
Yeah, I
Almighty,
like
and
Bruce
I like
Almighty.
that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but obviously a really good actor though.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has acting talent.
Mm-hmm.
Um. So yeah, obviously this was you were saying this was one of his first serious roles.
I believe it was his first one. Yeah.
His first serious role.
Yeah.
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 Which interesting premise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The movie portrays this as all starting when the skylight falls, like one of the lights
Yes.
falls, like right in front of him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I want to wager that he started before the movie begins, especially since that hole in the basement was dug out. And she mentioned he had missed a spot in the grass before then.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I honestly think he was started catching on. He was picking up the magazines to piece together that the girl that he liked when he was in high school or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he was calling around about Fiji before the light fell.
Was the light falling not the first scene of him going to work?
Okay, it was, but like, I don't think he's just spontaneously did all that.
No, I mean, I'm gonna say like I can agree with you that he might have started questioning it, but and it could very well that's our first time seeing what was going wrong. I think maybe the other things is that like his wife Meryl was his wife, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty clear she had zero interest in him.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that is just like, this is very weird. So you're right, he could have picked up on some things before the light falling. I can certainly buy that. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really think about whether or not this was the initial, hey, something's not right or not.
Yeah. But I mean, it definitely piled on.
Oh, for sure.
It. And you got stuff like this happens, and then they have to explain all this away. So the radio show is talking about it, or it's in the newspaper. One thing I found really funny about this movie was the product placement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because that's how they made their money. Because there's no commercials, so the product placement is in the show.
Yeah. So, like, a person, his wife mainly, would be randomly talking about an item.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I just bought this from the store. It
Hmm.
does this and it does that. Wow, it's so great. And I'm like, but if you think about it, he had to be listening to people do that his entire life.
But the thing is, you can get away with it if like that's all he knows.
Yeah.
And it's only until recently he's like, that's weird, but that's all you know. And it's like, oh, try this cocoa. And you're like, okay. But it works because if you notice some things, like people was drinking that beer, the
Hmm.
old ladies on the couch was wearing those robes.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what you had the two people that pushes them up against the sign all the time with a
Mm-hmm.
different ad
Yeah.
next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I found this movie. I get why it became a classic.
Mm-hmm.
I found it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the premise alone makes it interesting, but then also I think all the actors did a good job
Mm-hmm.
in there too.
I would agree, yeah.
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 Um, familiar actors, which I don't remember their names.
Laura Linney.
Yeah.
Lenny from Jurassic Park. I know she does a bunch of stuff, but I know her from Jurassic Park.
Where in Jurassic Park?
Isn't she Ellie?
Oh my, is that Ellie?
I'm pretty sure. Am I getting my characters mixed up? I think she's from Jurassic Park.
I don't have my Google searching device on me right now.
I'm googling it.
Okay. But then the showrunner, he's familiar too.
Ed Harris.
Yes, there
Bruh,
we go.
if everybody, that's the person you should have remembered.
Yeah, well, I didn't remember his name. I obviously knew him.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
I knew who he was.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So yeah, Ed Harris played a really good part in this. Um, while you figure out if that was,
I'm starting to think I got her mixed up with somebody else.
Yeah. See, I was like, I don't know. I feel like they
I was
look
like,
different.
okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Shame.
Shut
shame.
up.
Everybody's shame.
I know. They're probably just like, I don't believe you don't know who that is.
Yeah.
My
Nobody
bad.
said we were versed in actors.
No, not at all. Man, okay. No, I'm sorry. I definitely got her mixed up with someone else.
Okay. Yeah, she looks different. I can see there's some similarity, but she looks different.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
Okay. All right. So, speaking of the marriage, because you mentioned like she obviously has nothing to do with him. How come they couldn't just let him pick an extra?
See, that is my nitpick for this movie. Like, I don't really have a lot of nitpicks, but my nitpick is the production company.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about it now. It's fine. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Like, if you want this guy to be married and to have a family, you have to find someone that he's attracted to.
Yeah.
Like, I get why, and we'll talk about this later, while, hey, Sylvia was going to blow the whole thing up, so you had to get rid of her.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you didn't find anyone for him to really love where it's like he forgets about Sylvia.
True, yeah. You kind of force Meryl. Like, they force that relationship. She trips on him in band practice, and it's like, oh, we've got to go through this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, why didn't you find something else more natural? I'm pretty sure he could have naturally. Well, obviously he liked Sylvia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so there's some other woman out there that he will be attracted to and like.
But see, then again, if there was a real woman that was attracted to him as well, would she be willing to continue to go along with it? Or would you end up like Sylvia and going like, hey, look.
I think it all depends because I think Marlon was truly his friend and Marlon went along with it.
That's true. I do think Marlon was truly. I was going to talk about Marlon later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was truly his friend. But let's talk about Meryl. Oh, Meryl. I kind of feel sorry for her, but then kind of not.
Well, when he was going crazy, she was like, I did not sign up for this. Which, understandable.
Yeah. But I understand why he was going crazy.
Oh, for sure. I don't blame him at all.
Yeah, because he's like, okay, none of this is real. Especially like he walks in, he sees people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Which...
Again, nitpick for the construction. Okay.
Y'all didn't know he was... like, the cameras are on him, right? They can say, don't open this door. Yeah. He's there.
We're gonna save it, but yeah. So I understand him snapping, but I think at this point she really seemed fed up with him. Like she just didn't want to do it anymore. She didn't want to be married to him, and it's just, if you're going to be an actress and you're going to play the wife of someone, and you agree to be in it for the long haul,
Yeah.
like, lady.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree because obviously, right, if you agree to be his wife, since he thinks it's real, yeah, obviously you're gonna have to like sleep with him
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. You're gonna have to take this the whole way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, she had to get it together. But yeah, I mean, she could have been better at feigning to love him, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the girl from Jurassic Park is Laura Dern.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, they got the
Similar name.
similar names. My
Similar
bad.
name.
Okay, sorry.
Different person. Different.
Different
Wow, we
person.
should have remembered Laura Dern. I
Yes.
definitely know that name, and everybody's already shamed us. So
Yes, we'll cut that part out.
yes, sure. Okay. Yeah, Meryl. She basically did nothing, and then like, it's like all her lines was trying to just convince him that everything was
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, she wasn't very good at her job.
Yeah. Like when she was explaining, what was it? Oh, was it when he found his dad the first time, and she was just saying like, "Oh, getting rid of the homeless people or whatever."
Yeah. Yeah, like, oh, they're just cleaning up the homeless people. And he's like, no, that's not what was happening.
Yeah, and it's like people just forced him onto the bus.
Yeah.
Like you gotta agree that that's weird.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
weird,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she should have been, as his wife, doing a better job of easing his anxiety about this.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like if people around him agreed that what happened was weird, you have a better chance of keeping him
Yeah.
on the like believing that everything else is real. But if everyone is telling him not to believe his eyes,
Yeah.
then he's going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
then everyone's in on it, like he was telling Marlon.
Yeah.
You know, which would be obviously it sounds crazy. If you're a person you like everyone's in it, you sound like you need to go see a therapist, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's not in on it for you, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's what it was for him.
Yeah.
When he had her in the car. Oh, that was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like, oh, wow, there's traffic now. All of a sudden,
There's traffic. All the cars merge at the same time. And then again, you've been doing the show for 30 years. Why are you not better at this?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes around the block, comes back, and now there's no traffic. Like,
well, they thought he was going back to the house.
No, he's already started to be very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that. You can't be like, okay, everyone reset. No.
Yeah, so speaking of that, so everyone has starting positions and they start. So, like, do they only do the stuff when he's there, right? Because you're not randomly doing anything.
Yeah, which is also, this would have been more believable if everyone was living out a life.
Oh, that's crazy, though, to have, like,
but think about it, like, okay, you sign up for a show. Let's say it's like the real world, and it says, just live a normal life. Every once in a while, we'll give you cues or something so we can make something interesting happen, which is kind of what reality TV is, right? Yeah. You live in it, and then every once in a while, we'll start a fight with your neighbor.
Yeah.
Right? So you're all still acting, all still doing normal, but it would have been more believable for him because every day the same thing happens, right? Every day he gets attacked by the dogs, and turns out the dogs were just there to make sure they could find him at all times. Right? Every day the neighbor's outside with a very obvious camera on the trash can.
Yeah, oh my God, the trash can camera.
Yeah, the dog attacks him. He goes to work. He buys the newspaper. Blah blah blah.
Oh, don't forget that his neighbor standing outside with his family about to go to work all the time. Is it like no matter what happens if Truman wakes up late?
See, that's my thing, right? Because my thing is, so do these actors go home at night? Does Truman never leave the house after 10 or something? So that was my question. So that's why I'm saying it's better if it was like a community. Everyone's still all actors, but it's just like, hey, we'll pay you to live on this island. Yeah. Every once in a while, we'll give you a script for something to happen.
Yeah.
It'd have been more believable. But if every day, like when he gets his wife in the car and he's like, a lady with a bag is going to come by, then a yellow beetle is going to come by. And if all of this stuff is like, why are we looping things?
Yeah. Which you may not notice, but if you're looking for it.
Yeah. So, Like, and then it's like we've been doing this for so long. Why are we still in this fake mode, right? Like you said, everyone has a set position, right? Everyone gets on the bus. He talks to the twins every day, and it's just like, but why not? Like, why is the hospital not a real hospital?
Oh, the hospital. Oh
Right.
my god.
It's just like, why is the building next door? It's so weird.
So, I got to talk about the hospital scene
Mm-hmm.
for a second because you're absolutely right. But like, since he knows everything's wrong, he goes to his wife's job where she's supposed to be a nurse, and it gets past everybody to where she's supposed to be operating. Which
Mm-hmm.
so they just so happen, I guess, because he was coming. It's like, okay, well, we got to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
So at least they're good at that, setting it up
Yeah.
for when he's there.
Yeah.
But he's watching, so like, it's like, well, are you doing an operation or aren't you?
Yep.
You know,
Hey, start cutting legs open.
I I'm a person. I'm you not to cut my leg open.
But see, here's what I don't understand. Again, is like, why is the production company like this? Is the perfect case where you get a security guard or someone to stop him. It's a
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey, you can't be back here.
Yeah, you can't be back here.
Yeah.
Immediately get security to stop him. You got people in wheelchairs and carrying carts trying to slow him down. And I'm like, y'all don't have a cop uniform? You'd be like, what are you doing? This is the surgery suite. You can't be back here.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Sure. You can just do that.
Yeah.
You can just do that. So Meryl loses it. And then even when they're like at a disagreement, was this after? This was after the car ride and the fake nuclear plant breakdown. Like, man, they had everything ready to stop him.
Yeah.
And she does an ad read. I guess because you have to, because they pay for it.
Yeah, but like that's so weird, and that's what he's saying. He's like, "This is weird. This is the time again in the script. Yell at him.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate what you did to me. Blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
You need help. Let's go see a doctor.
Yeah.
Anything." She's like, "Want some cocoa?"
Oh yeah.
Just
This is the best cocoa. And I that scene sticks with me so much because I think by Jim Carrey it was delivered so well.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And I was like, wow, I think it was delivered so well. And
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, I would be the same way. Like, what are you doing
Mm-hmm.
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, in that whole scene, he wasn't trying to attack her. One, he just took the multi-tool, whatever it was.
Whatever that nonsense was.
He took that from her. And then, of course, the friend comes because in a sitcom, your friend always comes over.
Well, that and his friend came over at the right time, right? Like he's mad. I think he has on her chokehold or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then Marlon shows up just at the right time. It's always
Yeah.
like, oh no, we need interference. Marlon, run over there, and
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Marlon's the interference.
Yeah.
It's breaking down go-kart Marlon, and he'll fix it.
Yep. And so let's pivot over to Marlon. So Merrill obviously needed a better job. He did good, I think. But also, like you said, I think he was actually his friend to an extent.
I think he was for real, because there's a deleted scene that we did not see.
Yeah, I do know about that deleted scene. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, it's believable because again, we've been doing this for a long time. If he's been his friend since they were 7 years old, it takes a cold-hearted person not to begin to care about this person, to not end up being really their friend.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he was always along for the ride, but it's like at the same time, it's just like, this isn't really cool.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah.
But he always talked to him. Like when the first time, I guess he was in the store. His job was loading the vending machine.
Loading.
Loading.
Yeah.
He did a good job of making that look like it took him forever to do absolutely nothing. But he listened to what Truman was saying and talked to him. So I mean, like, again, if you're trying to get this person to stay, like, yeah. Although the last conversation, while I thought it was good, his line to Truman kind of just gave it all away, which I think was the last straw, where Truman's like, I'm getting out, because he said, hey, if everybody's in on it, I would have to be in on it too, otherwise they would be tricking me, right? And he's like, and I'm not in on it. And I think him saying that was Truman like, he's in on it.
I don't think him saying it. I was thinking the random, this is why I brought your father here.
Oh, you think that was it?
I think that was the catalyst. Like, That's real convenient. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. His father just being there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where it was. It's like that's real convenient, and now truly everyone really is on it because my own father, who I thought was dead, that traumatized me for my whole life, and he's just walking on the pier.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah. That could do it.
yeah.
That could do it. That scene with Marlon when they were looking for Truman the first
Mhm.
time, I was like, how creepy it was that. Like you just bust in the house, Truman,
Yeah,
where are you?
yeah. Like, there's no explaining this away, but at this point, it's like pretty much the gig is up.
Yeah, I was like, what was their plan? Like once Truman truly knew, like you couldn't do it anymore.
Mhm.
What was your plan to get him back? Like you telling him like, oh, you can stay. It's like, but I don't know. Doesn't the appeal of the show leave since Truman knows it's fake?
Well, I think Kristoff has such a god complex. Like, he will definitely attempt it.
Yeah,
Because remember, he was thinking that because this is all that Truman knows, Truman wouldn't want to leave.
yeah,
And so that's what he was banking on. And that's what Truman was like, no, I'm out.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if Truman doesn't want to leave, then he would just go along for it and then the show continues.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, you also can't keep doing weird stuff. Like I get Sylvia, but you might have wanted to do it a little bit differently, like a car pulling up on the beach. Oh, she's schizophrenic. Oh, blah blah
Yeah,
blah. Yeah, and we're going to Fiji. Blah blah blah, and she's just gone,
yeah,
right? And then stuff like that always happens. Like
yeah,
with his dad, you just force him onto the bus,
yeah,
or like people just get in your way to stop you. You know, it's
yeah.
like you can't keep doing that because then people are just like, okay, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
this doesn't just happen.
yeah.
Also, schizophrenia, I think, was probably a good idea, but you gotta let him or her tell him, and then go like, "Oh, she's schizophrenic."
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
you can't believe anything she says.
how weird would that be,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it might have been better that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm rooting for the production company because I still think this is
Oh no,
messed
it's
up.
it's messed up for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I don't know. I feel like throughout this movie, rooting for him to escape.
Agreed.
Yeah, yeah, he does. But yeah,
Yeah. Agreed. Because it's just like there's no justifying what they're doing to him.
no, it's like he was born on
Yeah.
camera.
I
Like they
mean,
had a camera when he was in the womb.
yeah, like I mean, essentially like he was a prisoner,
Yeah,
really. Like there's no justifying this.
yeah. Which what Sylvia was part of a protest group for that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think she was trying to find people that she could trust that could tell him what's really happening.
Yeah,
So she was really trying hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
They had that interview with Kristoff,
Mhm.
which really kind of let you know how far they went. We mentioned they had a camera when he was in the wound, right?
Mhm.
And then there's 5,000 cameras around. He was born on screen, watching him since he was a kid.
Mhm.
Obviously, giving his parents, telling them what to do. Actors all around him, and you really feel like how messed up
Yeah.
all of that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and Kristoff, like you said, definite God complex. I feel like the ending scene, which we'll talk about that one in detail, but the ending scene really highlights his kind of God complex. They
Mhm.
even set it up as
Mhm.
if like, okay, Truman's talking to God,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, interesting. Any other characters of note besides Kristoff, Meryl?
I think that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody else is pretty side characters.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that bus. That was
Oh, when
also
that was
funny.
that was going to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like again, y'all can do a better job of faking this?
Well, I don't know. What do? You can't drive to Chicago.
No, but I mean, the little weird gear shifting thing this guy was doing, I'm
Oh, he was
like,
trying to destroy the engine.
yeah, I'm like, it was just so obvious.
Yeah.
Just come on. I just really feel like let's do a better job of making it a reason on why he can't get there.
I think what it was like everyone was so used to Truman going along with his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like once he starts deviating from that. They just couldn't like they couldn't handle it.
Which again goes back to why you didn't make this a community
True.
instead of actors playing a role. So it was like, I only have one job. What do I do if my job is to do something else? And they didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. True.
It didn't make any sense.
Well, what does the bus driver do? In I guess just drive around.
He probably drives around the block every morning at 8 o'clock, so he sees the bus when he goes to work,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's talk about some of the last scenes. So when Truman escapes, obviously everyone lives there apparently, except for when they go on vacation. I think Marlon getting pneumonia was him being able to leave because.
Yes. Yeah, I think they mentioned twice.
Mhm.
When he worked at the chicken factory or something.
Yeah.
And then he supposedly got sick and was gone for a month. I think that was like he's on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants to stay in the same place all the time. Like you do leave. Like I mean, literally the same place. Like you.
I don't know. I think there are people. You see those people like I never
That
left.
I mean, I know, like you say, you never left. Like we never left Cleveland technically, right? We still live around here, right? Okay, cool, cool, cool. But I've been out of country. I've been out
Okay,
of state.
but let's say if you, I know this is a little harder because it's the U.S., but let's say you lived on an island.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's probably a lot of people that's never left Guam or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a little different because it's like the U.S. and it's like just hop across the water and you're there.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like I feel like there are people who just never left their hometown.
Yeah, true. And then maybe 1998 too. Because I feel like people travel more now. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't necessarily think so, but what I think is that and you gotta remember like there were so many things like to make him be afraid to leave too. Like when you go into the travel agent office, it's giving you all of these negative things about traveling. Like
Yeah, that poster with the
yeah,
plane.
like this could be you, and think about travel insurance, and so it was like all of these negative things. Like you don't want to travel; it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So you put that into his mind that maybe it's not a high priority.
Yeah. True. That's very true. All right. So first with the ending scene, so he escapes onto the water, which they didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he's like, I'm just sailing away from the island, right? And they literally cause a storm to try and make him turn around.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's crazy. And then especially you mentioned Kristoff having that God complex. You know, he's like, um, he was born on camera, he can die on camera too. Which I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, legit was like, we'll kill him. I mean, turn the storm up to max. I really feel like the boat would have received a little bit more damage or something, but whatever.
It was a fake storm too, right? So probably not as strong as something you see.
With the way they were making it seem, just seems like I don't know. Maybe this boat should be a little more damaged.
Well, maybe.
But either way,
either way, he makes it through.
he makes it through the storm after nearly drowning.
Well, it's funny because in that interview we mentioned before, Kristoff mentioned this. He said if he's like he's one is a lie. He's like he's free to leave. If he really had the determination, he would just leave, but he doesn't because he wants to stay. Well, one, you can't really say that if you're really trying hard to keep him on the island, right? It's not like he's on the island. If he walks out, he walks out, right? That's free to leave, but making it so there's a forest fire and a nuclear meltdown or whatever, that no, you're trying to keep him there.
You're preventing him from leaving, and you can say, and he also doesn't know what's going on, so he's not free to leave because he doesn't know that that's an option.
Yeah. So yeah, not knowing that it's an option, it makes a big difference. But it also highlights the show. By the end of that, it ended up being true. Truman did have that much determination. Like he was done.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm leaving. I don't care if you kill me. I don't care. I had this fear of water. I don't care. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So he did have that determination at the end. And obviously you have the whole God complex conversation between him and Kristoff. Where he's trying to convince him that somehow it's better for him to be in there.
Well, I guess it's basically it's like you don't understand the real world. Like the real world is scary, right? Like
Yeah.
here it's safe, it's calm, you know everything. You you don't know what's gonna happen out there, which is in a way is kind of true because Truman would not be able to function in the real world.
I don't think so. I was gonna mention this. I was like, do you think he's messed up?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I feel like there's not going to be any point in time where he trusts his reality ever. If I mean your entire life, right? Entire life was fake. He gets out of the Truman Show, and who's to say? Like, eventually, I'm like, is this person an actor? Is this person like he's messed up?
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like it's a good thing that he got out, but I don't see how he functions in society.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little rough. But also, he shouldn't have a hard time because he should be paid. I was thinking that too. I was like, this. So you say you're the star of the show, Truman. Um, did he get paid for this show?
Oh yeah, I guess yeah, he will also be a very rich man because you owe him money for his labor, and then I'm going to sue you for falsely imprisoning me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Truman didn't write an agreement.
no. Well,
His parents did.
and the show adopted him.
His right, the show it died. So there, his he might not get that money. Then.
No, I think you can still sue him. You can still sue him.
Well, yeah, you can adopt him, but what happens out after 18?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, either way, there's some money coming Truman's way.
Yeah.
I would assume someone arrests Christoph.
Well, do they? Because it's not like they didn't know. Everyone else knew.
But maybe people doesn't really get the gravity of that he really doesn't want to be here, you know?
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's certainly possible.
There should be an after the Truman Show.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of ruins it, but still.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he finally decides to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yes. And that's how the movie ends.
Yeah.
Everyone jeers, and then everybody just watches something else. And I think that does highlight kind of our entertainment consumption.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't really, like, everyone's into this show, but it didn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it was over, and then it's like, okay, let's see what else is on.
Yeah, like what's next? And that's
Yeah.
I thought it was a good way to end that. Just like everyone was like, yeah, they were obsessed with it, and it was just like, move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next obsession, and that happens. It's funny you mentioned these kind of social media landscape that we have nowadays. And it's kind of like that now. You get trend after trend, and everyone's into it. Then it dies down, and okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right. So maybe people don't change, just technology.
Yeah.
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 Apparently. Okay. Any movie facts? Movie facts.
Yes. Yep. I have a few. So apparently there was some backstory or history about the show written. So one thing is that it won an Emmy a few times in that universe.
Okay.
So people really enjoyed the show and thought it was great television in order for it to win an Emmy. Originally Truman was supposed to be younger, like fresh out of high school, but Jim Carrey was in his 30s, so they changed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So opening up, they say that we're on day 10,909. For those who don't know, that makes him just shy of his 30th birthday.
Okay. Interesting. So 29.
Yes. Yeah, so every street in Sea Haven is named after an actor, and the actors are also named after actors, like Meryl from Meryl Streep.
What, Marlon Brando?
I think it's Marlon Brando. Yeah, they all have actors' names.
Okay, I did not pick on that. Pick up on that.
Yes. So the movie was shot in a town called Seaside, Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Apparently, they only had to make a few changes. That town is very well. I guess if you're a small city or whatever, I don't want to live in a place like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That ring that he had on his finger was a camera.
The ring was a camera.
Yes.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about that. Like everything was a camera.
Everything was a camera. Yes.
Which I mean, I guess you would need. But...
Well, yeah, you had to have certain multiple cuts and stuff
Yeah.
because you can't follow him with the camera. So then the surrounding environment is the camera.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
his radio was a camera, mirrors were cameras, the obvious camera on the trash can,
Yeah.
button cameras, tie cameras, necklace cameras. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, it's just about everything. So the ring was actually his father's that he got from him after his father drowned.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and so he had been wearing it, but then when he met back up with his father, he gave the ring back, and that also why it makes it difficult to follow him because you don't have a camera on him, literally
Okay.
on his person, no
Okay.
longer. Yeah. So when he goes to a travel agency in order to book a flight to Fiji, which again, you guys gotta be better than us. Like so, like the lady was like late coming in. She had like the bib on because that was an actress getting her makeup done because she wasn't prepared for him to come into the travel agency
Yeah.
because that's not in the script. Which again goes back to my point of why this wasn't a community.
True. Okay. If you have everyone acting out their lives all the time, then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The radio station only plays classical music because classical music is in the open domain. You don't have to pay for it.
Okay. All right. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yep. So
Oh
that
man, so he never listened to anything else?
no, he had heard nothing, and the '90s were a great time for
Oh
music.
my gosh. I'm like, dude, he hasn't heard like what rock and roll, hip hop,
Nothing.
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 God, he couldn't even go through the metal thing that some teams of a variety go through sometimes.
Yeah.
um, wow. Okay.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, that seems insane.
Yeah. So Dennis Hopper was originally cast as Kristoff, but he walked off the set on the first day.
Oh.
And then he was replaced with Ed Harris. I did not read on why he walked off, but he was not happy and left.
No, that's weird.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a story there.
No, there has to be a story there.
Yeah.
Like absolutely there has to be a story there. Okay, so if there's a deleted scene. There's two deleted scenes I want to talk about, but there's one where basically Kristoff is talking about how he wants Truman to have a kid. So then now there would be two shows.
Yeah.
One following Truman, one following the kid. And basically it's basically saying how that they were just gonna start this all over again. That when we're done with Truman, we'll just now follow whatever child he has. And like they were just gonna start the cycle all over again.
But what happens with like you were just gonna follow him until he grew old and died?
Brings up another point. In that scene, Marlon asks that question. It says, so when he's Marlon. When Truman dies, are we just gonna go back to one show? Just how morbid that is, and because they're all the actors are sitting at a table,
Yeah.
and they're getting their new roles and assignments and stuff, and Marlon's like, so but what happens when Truman dies? And he was the only one that really cared.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, yeah.
Yeah, see, that seems messed up. You want a person to live their entire life.
Yeah.
And it's fake. Like I don't care if it's like, oh, he gets a good life or whatever like that. It still feels
Yeah, because
messed up.
it wasn't his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really wasn't his choice. And then to have the thought to do it to another child.
Well, of course, he did it to the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other deleted scene is that when they're looking for Truman, Marlon actually finds him.
Yeah, I heard about that deleted scene.
And lets him go.
Yeah.
So I think Marlon really did care, and you figure like he was also a child in this.
Mm-hmm.
And was caught up in it just as much as Truman was.
Yeah, you got to think what child actor, so you went to school with him all the time, and then you grew up in it. So yeah. But that goes to show. I mean, I guess Marlon, if everything went normal, Marlon wouldn't have eventually told him. But I don't know. Like, there's got to be a breaking point where you go like, you know.
Yeah, there could have been, and I know, like, cause like if you look at Sylvia's apartment, she's like, there's people that she was trying to reach out to get to him, and I think it was like for some reason like she couldn't get to Marlon. It's like if she could get to Marlon, then she knew that Marlon wouldn't have been able to talk to Truman.
Yeah.
So I think there probably would have been a breaking point where he's just like the gig is, especially if like Truman really like what he was going through. I think there would have been a time where he was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this to him anymore.
Yeah.
I really do believe that.
Yeah.
nitpicks?
Um, yeah, I didn't have many. We kind of talked about the production company. I mean, they're pretty much the nitpick.
Yeah.
Like it's raining and you didn't get all the rain set, so you just had the one on top of him.
Yeah, it was just like
What
after doing it for so long, you think you would be better at handling hiccups that happens.
Yeah.
Your solution was 30 people rushing onto the scene to escort one person out. Just come on now. Doesn't make any sense. Now, look, here's the thing, and I'm not going to call it a nitpick, but maybe I just don't quite understand. Truman sees his father on the street, and he's just as a homeless man.
Yeah.
Did Sylvia convince him to come up there to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why he showed up.
Why did he show up? Because then he just jumped back on with the role.
And then he
after
hopped back
showed up.
into his role. So I don't understand, why was he there? We know the show didn't put him there.
Yeah.
Because that was really the thing, like, hold on. I just saw my dead father.
Do you think initially, maybe he did feel bad? Like, he did raise this kid, by the way, right?
Well, the other lady raised him. And
Yeah, true. But she was still part of the show. But do you think being out, thinking about it, maybe he was just like, I gotta tell him. And then he got to the show, they took him off, and then offered him something.
that was my thought, that maybe he did it to warn him. And then the show was like, we'll give you some money.
We'll bring you back on.
And he came back. But see, that's the whole thing. Like, I just couldn't figure out, like, why was he there?
Yeah, I think he wanted to tell him.
Okay.
I think he wanted to tell him,
Yeah.
and then they paid him off, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So
Because
that
he
was...
didn't want his character to die anyway, right? They killed the character because they needed Truman to be afraid of water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He'd be so afraid of water that he's not going to want to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, so I think that was my only one. Outside of overall, the production companies kind of better their jobs. Yeah, I just couldn't figure out the father coming back thing, and I'm just thinking that maybe I missed something, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. They when he was missing, they kind of went off the rails. You got the whole town out looking for him. Like, if he was really missing, don't you think that's looked weird?
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
at that point they just gave it up. You know what I mean?
you got the moon as a searchlight now. You turn it to daytime. I'm like, bro, you're
Yeah, I think at this point they were just like, just bring. They gave it up. You know what I mean? They didn't care anymore. We just got to get them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Then we get to rate it.
We do.
I'm a little torn
Mm-hmm.
between, surprisingly, don't judge me for this, but between I Pay for That and Best Movie Ever. I think it was really good production. I enjoyed the movie. I'm gonna give it I Pay for That though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was torn between Watch by Folding Clothes and I'll Pay for That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, and maybe it's the whole point. I just feel like maybe it was a little too fast. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I didn't really connect.
It's a short movie. It's only what, an hour and a half?
Yes, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just didn't feel like a true connection with anyone in this movie.
Well, I think you're only supposed to connect with Truman, honestly.
Very true. And I was just so put off by some of the bad production. Not the movie itself, but like the bad production from the production company in the movie.
Yeah.
I was just like, you guys could do this better if you want to believe this guy's living in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was really torn between that, but I will give it I Pay for That. Yeah, I'll give it I Pay for That. It's nice. Yeah, watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. These are one of those classics. Now, that's why I opened up our podcast with saying, like, normally we don't like these classic movies. And I would say this one, I wouldn't even say classic, cult classics normally we don't like. Classic movies we do like Psycho.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a cult classic that I would say is, yes, 100% worth the cult following for it.
Now,
right?
do you think it's worth? I mean, there's people who like, I've seen this movie 20 times and I curated a whole YouTube channel about it. Is it worth that?
There are people that has created entire YouTube channels about it.
Yes.
I wouldn't. I think this is a thing that I could have watched now.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't watch it again, that's fine. If someone said I'm gonna watch the Truman Show, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, that's a good movie. Let's watch it. Which
Mm-hmm.
is why I want to give it more than a watch while folding clothes.
Okay.
Um, and also I think the concept is really good, which is probably what's pushing it up
Mm-hmm.
further for me.
Yeah.
Um, but would I sit down there and analyze it for a YouTube video? No.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. If I was bored, I might watch the the, the video on it.
I, I'm gonna say, as I was looking stuff up about this, I watched a few videos on it. Wasn't particularly interesting. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like as far as analyzing this movie, is there really that much deep into it? I feel like it's pretty much open, right? The
yeah.
movie is saying what it is. There's nothing to kind of dig into.
I guess maybe we miss clues on things that are happening around him. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I think there's like a guy that's always following him. Stuff
Oh
like
yeah, the
that.
guy in the code or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe stuff like that, or maybe if you want to, be a psychologist or something. And
Now I would watch a psychologist review this movie. I feel like that's interesting.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
But yeah. Okay. All right. So we will give it a.
I'll pay for that.
I pay for that, which I think is fair. And for everyone who doesn't know, that is a 4 out of 5 or a was it 8 to 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With that being said, that is our review of the Truman Show. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more of our movie reviews. And remember, if we don't see you, good evening. Wait, what is it? Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon,
good
good
evening,
evening,
and good
and good night.
night.